Did you hear about the mathematician that didn't like negative numbers? He would stop at nothing to avoid them. Okay, let's do some Bidmas on negatives. So Bidmas is a mnemonic which gives us the order of operations, i.e. if we've got a sum in front of us, what do we do first? And we start with brackets and we end with add and subtract. Brackets is fairly self-explanatory. Anything that's inside a bracket, you do first. Indices, that means powers, so squares and cubes, and it means roots, so square roots. Divide and multiply are grouped together. That means that you could do them in either order. If it's easier to do the multiplication first, then do it first. If it's easier to do the divide first, then do that first. Make sure you do them after the indices and before the last thing we've got to do, which is adds and subtracts, where the same thing applies. Do whichever one is easier first. So here's 3 questions to look at. Let's go through. For the very first one, we have got an addition, we have got a subtraction, we have got a multiplication, and we've also got a brackets. So we're going to do the bracket first. 5 minus 3 is 2. Something people can sometimes do is put stuff in the wrong order. Keep it in the same order. We then got an add and a multiply. We're going to do the multiply first. 3 plus 14, and then we can do our addition. So we did our bracket, then our multiply, then we did our add. What about the second one? Well, we've got a lot of indices here. We've got some squares, we've got some roots, and we kind of need to work those out first. So 5 squared is 25. 9 squared is 3. Divide we can't do yet. Square root of 9 is 3. So we've done all of our indices first. And we've got a divide, so we'll do that next. We'll go to 3. So we've got 25 plus 3 plus 3. And then we can just do our additions. They all add up to 31. And then on our last question, we've got here a bracket that contains 4 times 2 plus 10. Now, although those have got times as an adds in them, we still need to do that whole bracket first before we can do anything else. So we'll do the multiplication inside the bracket first. Then we'll do the addition. Then we'll do the indices. And then we'll do the divide. Final answer there is 2. Okay, that's it. Negative calculations, there are 2 things that we've got to bear in mind. And the first one is about if we see signs next to each other. And I mean right next to each other. If the 2 signs are the same and are next to each other, then that becomes a plus. So if you see a plus plus next to each other, or a minus minus next to each other, that goes to a plus. Different signs go to a minus. So if you've got a minus, a plus minus, or a minus plus, then that will give you a minus answer. So let's look through some examples of this. We've got 5 plus minus 3 minus minus 5. So we've got a plus minus, that's going to become a minus. And we've got a minus minus, that's going to become a plus. So different signs to a minus, same signs to a plus. So rewrite the sum, 5 minus 3 plus 5. And then doesn't matter what order we do this in, 5 minus 3 is 2, 2 plus 5 is 7. Second one, we've got a minus plus, that'll go to a minus, and a plus plus, that'll go to a plus. So we've got 6 minus 4 plus 2. 6 minus 4 is 2, 2 plus 2 is 4. And then the very last one, we've got a minus minus and a minus plus. And we've also got a minus at the front, and that stays a minus. Okay, we don't change that just because there's minuses elsewhere in the sum. They need to be next to each other. So what would we do with this? We'd have to start with minus 4. We'd have to add 7 to it. That's going to take us up to 3. Then we're going to need to take away 2. That's going to take you down to 1. One last thing to look at. So when we are multiplying or dividing, then we just need to look at the signs of the numbers that we're multiplying or dividing. If they're the same sign, you get a positive answer. If they're different signs, you get a negative answer. So if you had a positive times a positive, same sign, positive answer. So let's go through 4 examples of these. First one, we have got the same signs. We have got a minus and a minus. So that means our answer is going to be positive. 6 times 5 is 30. We're done. So I would always think about what the sign's going to be first, and then work out the answer using the numbers. Second question, different signs. We've got a minus 30 times what we're essentially going to think of as a positive 15. Different signs have a negative answer. 30 divided by 15 is 2, minus 2. For the third one, we've got a positive times a negative. So we're going to get a negative answer. So we need to do 6 times 0.4. Now you might need to remind yourself on decimals there. If you want to do 6 times 0.4, we're going to go 6 times 4 is 24. But there was one decimal place in the answer, so that means we're going to get 2.4 because there's got to be one decimal place in the question. Last one, we've got a positive divided by a negative. That means our answer is going to be negative. 12 divided by 0.3. Okay, how do we do that? So remember, if we're dividing by a decimal, we want to make the decimal into a whole number. And we did that by timesing it by 10. And we do the same to the other side as well. So 120. 120 divided by 3 is 40. So that means our answer is going to be minus 40. Remember, with division by decimals, you don't change the answer. That's it. Pretty short notes this week, but that's all there is for the topic.